Hello, Professor Luchin. This is last week or week two, module two review. The reason I like to do these each week, and I like to post them on Monday after I've kind of reviewed and graded everything from the previous week. I just want you to see what your classmates are doing. I'll speak a little bit about scoring, and then if you want to improve your class, scores and grade, I mean, you have that ability. That's what this is all about. As you can see from the performance, the time was a little bit lower, but the first week is always usually very high. As far as views, it went down slightly, but not a lot. The only thing that really concerns me is the minimum score. Somebody spent under a half hour and touched less than 28 things, or 28 things total, whereas others were up in the 190. So you're going back and reviewing things and looking at it. I'd like to see those higher. I'd like to see, anywhere from 3 hours plus per week, and make sure that the touches are, at least above 150. So, unfortunately, 3 students didn't submit their weekly assignments. They still can. I will still collect them and grade them. We did have one student drop out of the class, but she reached out to me and she said that between hearing what I loved about practicing safety and from what she gained from the mentor she spoke with, she just realized that she did not have a passion to go into this field. And so she decided to drop out of the class and pursue a different career. Now, to me, that's a bit sad, but then again, it's good when you realize there's something you don't want to do because you just don't feel like it's, within your wheelhouse or what would make you happy. So it's okay. It's really okay. Last thing is, when I was reading what you guys submitted for what you learned from your mentors and how you related to the course topics, I loved it. You guys did a fantastic job. I'm going to keep doing that. I really think that I'm seeing a deeper level of learning based on what you're telling me. So I'm going to keep going with this. The lessons last week, we finished the textbook. I told you it'd be an easy read. And it's not about memorizing all the different techniques. It's to appreciate there are different techniques, but they all have pros and cons. They should be applied in certain areas, and others they're a weaker approach. That's really what I wanted you to take away from it. Spoke about OSHA citations, and we went over some of them. Wherever you go in your career, should your company be inspected by OSHA, I hope that you can contribute so that it's a better experience for either you or your company, and that if you do receive citations that you feel were unjust or unfair, that you are fully capable about following what's required in doing contestation, should you want to do that. I like that a lot of you spoke to the safety program. I believe that was lecture, I want to say 9, but I don't want to be quoted on that. That you heard similar things to what I'd covered in that lecture and what your mentors said. Indeed, a safety program is built through assessments and understanding and trying different things. And if you can't eliminate it, it's part of the program. But it should be continually reviewed. The other things are, what is a safety program? How do you see it? It's what the workers see. It's what they tell you. And finally, don't blame the injured worker. And a lot of you had commented on that. So again, I was very pleased with your responses. Talked a little bit about personal protective equipment assessment and determination of selection and all the different things that go with that. And I think it's important to realize that it's not about opening up a catalog or running into a Home Depot and buying eye protection or hand protection or whatever it might be. You do need to go through and properly assess what the risks are in order to determine what type of personal protective equipment is required. And I highly recommend, I provided you with the Grainger links. You should use something like that. Go to the experts, let them help you out. It's not easy to do on your own. Like I'll talk about later in the semester when it comes to like hearing conservation, people are just give them earplugs. But they're not wearing them. It's not doing any good. What are they really being exposed to? And I've gone to companies and done full shift noise sampling to determine what level of noise workers are exposed to in order to determine the proper equipment. And then if that equipment needs some sort of specialized, such as, do they want to be able to hear music? Do they need noise canceling? Does it have to be integrated with other forms of PPE? You know that then, and you have documented why you chose it. And then you can shop around for variances or prices and stuff like that. I want to reiterate here, because a lot of you heard this from your mentors, OSHA standards are the minimum. We do it because we have to do it. It is the minimum, but safety should go way beyond that. But this is where you start. I always wanted to kind of bring you to the starting point. Once you've achieved basic compliance, go above that, go way above that. You're going to actually get a lot more out of a safety program should it go above and beyond OSHA, because just because you're OSHA compliant doesn't mean people aren't going to get hurt. Definitely. And that PPE, similarly to that, is minimal protection. Not the best choice, but that's usually where people start. So this week we're going to talk about bloodborne pathogens and COVID-19. It's a good lead-in. That one's posted. We'll be posting very soon the ergonomics and the cost of musculoskeletal disorders. And I'm bringing in technology, exoskeletons and wearable technologies. That's where ergonomics is going. And if you recall, when we covered the causes of injury, do you remember how, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the rate of musculoskeletal injuries is going down significantly over the last 5 or 6 years, versus all the rest of the top 5 causes were either level or going up a little bit. I hope you remember that. In Lecture 13, we're building off the idea of ergonomics. We're going to talk about forklift and warehouse safety. I've got some consulting reports I can show you with pictures that I found. Lecture 14, I'm going to do the best I can to simplify crane safety and proper rigging, because it connects to the warehouse safety, forklifts, and ergonomics. And finally, and this is related to warehouse safety, walking and working surfaces, lifts, and ladders. So that's what we're covering in Module 3. There are a few changes this week that I want to make special acknowledgement of, and that is that I'm not going to have the scheduled discussions or live recordings this week. I'm going to continue with the pre-recordeds, but for your discussion assignment, I want each of you to have a one-on-one with me. I want to ask you some questions just to see, what level you're acquiring these topics. The questions will predominantly be from Module 1 and Module 2, but a little bit from Module 3, depending on what you had consumed or gotten, how far you'd gotten through the material before we had our meeting. The meeting can be anytime. Contact me with availability and I'll make sure it works out. I've got a lot more flexibility this week than I had in the last 2 weeks. That's why I can do it that way. Please email me. You see my email on the screen. Don't use my Gmail. Use my Whitewater email, please. So you won't have to post anything. I will be scoring you based on the interaction we have on the discussion. And don't worry. Just be yourself. Come in. Be honest. That's all I ask. Based on what I heard from you, the mentor meetings were awesome. So we will continue those next week and probably the week after, because you got so much out of them. I got to integrate it into the content, but this is a good week to talk to me, and then we'll continue with it next week. Lecture topics are now going to focus on actual types of hazards, and we'll talk about standards, and we'll look at other things that go along with, like the cost of them and possible more innovative or current solutions. So that's really where we're going now. The last 4 weeks are actually going to be really fun compared to the first 2. They were more of like building or foundational. Now we're really going to get into it. So that's all I wanted to cover this week. Please email me to set up a time for our one-on-one. Thank you.